Sharkast. 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 IAA Sharkast.
Hello, Inter-American Academy. This is Dr. Don and Susan Williams here for Sharkast episode 62. We're so glad to have Susan here with us today to talk about our excellent student support department.
I'm so happy to be here, and I'm happy to talk about the wonderful team and the work we're doing at Student Support Services. This is my third year at IAA. I came in as Ginny Simmons left. Virginia Simmons was the person who started the Student Support Services department here, and she did a fantastic job modeling it on international norms and standards. I've been in education for 38 years in all areas, teacher, administrator, and now I'm the lead of the student support team and loving my work here at IAA. What I want to talk about today is a little bit about our philosophy. Here at IAA, we are an inclusion school, so we know that every child can learn. Sometimes that path to learning may be different for each child. We're going to talk about how we reach those student needs. This year, we integrated multi-tiered systems of support along with our student support team. Multi-tiered systems of support, what that means is that we begin at a tier 1, which will be support within the classroom and with the classroom teacher. Tier number 2 will be small group or individualized support. And then tier 3 supports are when we create an individualized learning plan for our students, an SLP, or in other areas of the world, it's called an IEP. Here's a visual that can kind of help you visualize exactly how we're working. Tier 1, which is the largest tier, in which we go into the classrooms and we work with the teachers. In academic systems, we have our lit blocks in which students are grouped multi-age. So we have students from 3rd grade through 6th grade in these groups, and it's based on their reading levels. We also use tier 1 supports for students experiencing behavioral differences or difficulties, in which we work with the teacher, maybe changing seating arrangements or making other adjustments within the classroom. If those systems are not working, we move on to a tier 2, which, as I mentioned, small group or individual support. And then tier 3, of course, would be our individual student learning plans. This is our student support team. We have a great team of people working in student support. Some of them you may know: Annie Sotomayor, Caitlin O'Leary. We've added on a behavior specialist, Anna Rosie Torres, Kelly Popper, a reading interventionist. Nancy is our math interventionist. We have our ELL specialists, Belen, Denise, Roxana, Melissa, and our counselors. The counseling program is also part of the student support team. So we have Michelle and Sue Martin as part of our team, college counseling, and then an academic support specialist, Alan Gutierrez. So these are the areas where we offer support. English is second language needs, learning and behavioral needs, students that have learning differences or behavioral difficulties within the classroom or outside of the classroom, gifted educational needs, and counseling and prevention needs. What we do is when students come into IAA, they're provided with an English test. And based on that test, which is the WIDA, we can identify students that will need English language support as they come into the school. We also use the MAP, which is Measures of Academic Progress, or the Woodcock-Johnson test to check their levels of academic achievement. We have IQ tests that we provide. And also we look at external assessments. Often families will come with external assessments, so we take that into consideration as well. A student learning plan is a team effort. We love having parents involved. We organize our student learning plans with all the members of our team, as well as parents. We look over the students' achievement goals, testing information, and we set up SMART goals. We establish an area of focus if it's ELL, or it's a gifted education, or it's a learning differences, and we set up one-on-one support. Each of these children are provided with a case manager who follows their case throughout the school year. We have specialized programs which we work with the students: corrective reading, foundations, decoding strategies, development of metacognitive skills, and mathematics accommodations as well. Behavioral support is established through classroom observations. We have behavior inventories, which we look at with students, and we determine if a student needs to have special support in the area of behavior, interaction with their peers, and interaction with their teachers. The student has achieved a 90th percentile in math or reading. We will go ahead and give that student an IQ test, or the parents may provide external assessment information as well. And we set up two types of support for those students. One is enrichment, in which we provide critical thinking skills, metacognition skills, teamwork, social interaction, all of those things, and we provide acceleration. Here at IAA, you may have a student in the 4th grade who's taking a middle school language arts class, or a student in middle school who's taking high school classes and getting high school credit for those classes. Students are provided with a full range of college counseling and career education programs and activities. And our counselors work both with individual students and in small groups on social emotional development. You'll see that we have added in kinder through 2nd grade a flex period. That's when the special support happens, so that students are still attending their regular classes, but they may have ELL support or enrichment classes during those flex hours. In grades 3 through 6th grade, those flex hours will happen at 1:45 to 2:15. And also you'll notice in yellow highlighted are the literacy blocks in which students, as I mentioned, are grouped according to their reading levels. So they'll be in multi-grade groups, but it will be based on their needs and based on their reading level. So inclusive education at IIA is very well established. This school provides one of the most comprehensive student support systems in the region and probably in the world. It's based on international standards and norms. Our students are provided with opportunities throughout the day in which their individual needs are being met. I'm very proud to be part of this team and working with these wonderful students here at IAA.
Thank you so much, Susan. It's a pleasure to have you here on our Sharkast episode. And I know you presented this information to parents at weekly sessions this past week. Thank you, Susan. Certainly, we're very, very proud to have such a great student support department to support our students here at IAA. Go Sharks! I wanted to talk a little bit with parents right now about the fees for student support. This has been a hot topic this year. 5 years ago, this is a picture of 5 years ago at Inter-American Academy. 5 years ago, once upon a time in 2018, we really lacked the professionals that we needed to support our students that might have some special needs or needs beyond the normal classroom. And we hired Dr. Virginia Simmons to come in. She was working for the State Department overseas, helping schools set up their student support programs. And we brought her in, and she brought her expertise in special education and gifted education. And she helped us set up our student support program. At the time, 5 years ago, we only had 3 support teachers. Now we're going to fast forward to today. Those lovely looking people on your screen are part of our student support department. We're hosting our 2nd International Inclusion Conference. The U.S. State Department recognizes the value that we add to folks that are looking for posts around the world. They recommend us. We are highly recommended at Inter-American Academy for families with kids because they know we offer a personalized education. We were featured presenters at the AMISA conference in Sao Paulo, Brazil in 2022. And also schools that are large international schools that have been around for 75 plus years are coming to our school to try to learn about our program so they can replicate it at their schools. Our student support team, let's talk a little bit about them, some of the numbers. Today, we've grown from 3 specialists to 11 specialists. In 2017, we only had 8 students on learning plans. Today, we have 86 students who have learning plans. We have been able to accept students the past 5 years that we couldn't accept previously because now we have the specialists to support them. So our kids that are on plans, this is the question that I've been asked throughout this year. I've had parents come in and meet with me in my office. I've had 20 different parents come in and meet with me, and they've asked this question: why does my student who has a plan generate extra fees? Don't I already pay enough in tuition? I think those are valid questions, but I want to answer them one time so that I don't need to answer them 20 more times, and so that the director that comes next year doesn't need to answer them 40 times throughout the school year. So I'm going to talk about why there are extra fees if your student has a plan. When a student is accepted and admitted to our school, part of the admissions agreement is that the family will pay for extra service fees as necessary to assure the success of their student. This is in every admissions contract and has been for many, many years. We insist that if students need extra support above and beyond the support we already offer in every classroom, we need to give them that support so that they can succeed. It's not optional. At our school, that's not optional. At other schools, you might be able to say, no, I don't want those services, and I'm okay with my kid not succeeding, and that's fine. I'm not going to pay that fee. Not at IAA. We are not a normal school. We are a school that actually makes sure that every single one of our students has success and gets what they need. Testing for each student takes place in the form of the MAP test, the WIDA language test, and the gifted test like the SLOSN test. This data allows us to determine the level of support needed to help each student progress and succeed. Sometimes students need a little bit extra help, and that's okay. If they need additional help, they receive a student learning plan. So let's talk about the student learning plans. How does that process take place? The first thing that happens is our team of experts analyze all of the data, the current level of learning for each student in the school. Because a learning plan is only generated for students that are significantly below grade level, above grade level, or that simply don't have access to the curriculum, for instance, a student that's still learning English, the team determines what materials and curriculum the student will need to grow and progress. So it's not just about the plan, it's about possibly a whole nother set of materials and curriculum that will help that student meet their needs. Alternative curriculum and materials are ordered, and then staff is trained in those materials so that they can serve that student the best, in the best way so the student can have success. Individual goals are crafted for the student in this alternative curriculum. And finally, the team meets with the family and goes over the plan. Everyone agrees to the plan, and it is implemented after the document is signed. Now, sometimes at this point in the process, the parents will ask Susan's team, well, what about this fee? I don't really want to pay this fee. I don't feel like paying this fee, or this fee is too much. And they're always referred to the business office because they don't talk about money. Their focus is solely on your students, your child. Their focus can't be on the money. The money is an issue with the business office, and that's an issue that you would take up with them if you have questions about that. This Sharkast also answers those questions so that you can have those in clarity and know exactly what you need to do in regard to your student and paying fees. So we'll talk a little bit about that. What do I get for the money I pay in student support fees? Testing fees are paid. So test materials are very expensive, and personnel must be trained in how to test individual students in the different tests that we offer. The student learning plan is written by a team of experts, so that's included in the student support fees. We spend a lot of time on those learning plans, and there's a lot of individuals working with that learning plan to make sure it's the best possible for each student. Alternative curriculum and materials are ordered, and then teachers are trained in those materials to support the student. Alternative schedules are made that allow staff to give extra support to your students. Small groups or individual learning sessions are created to fit your child's specific learning needs. Specifically, the material that is used in those small groups or individually with your student is ordered, and then that instruction is given with that modified curriculum. This is very expensive, just so you're aware. We spend a lot of money making sure that we get exactly what we need for each student. An advocate expert monitors the learning of your student. They collaborate with the homeroom teachers, and they train the homeroom teachers with extra support throughout the week so that they can also give interventions to your student while they're in the homeroom classroom. A weekly student support meeting is held with our specialists. They meet and they review the data of your student each week, and they make sure that your student is progressing and growing. If your student is not progressing and growing, they meet with the teachers and the specialists, and they might institute a new intervention or a new support to help that student be successful. The specialists that work with your student, sometimes up to 3 specialists for some students in 1 week. That's what your fees also pay for. That's the most expensive part. People cost money, especially if they're experts. Alternative programming and classes that are not available to other students who do not have plans. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then finally, what's the most important thing that your money goes toward? A happy child, a child that's thriving and growing. So let's talk about Opportunities Unlimited at Inter-American Academy. Our mantra here is Shark, right? We're the Sharks. We're safe, we're honest, we're accountable, we're respectful, and we're kind. This is what we teach to our students and to our community. It's something that we take to heart as professionals in the school. We make sure that we're safe, we're honest, we're accountable, we're respectful to each other, and we're kind. Our families are here because they know that we are the only school in Ecuador that offers this very individualized education for each student. We thank our parents. We're so grateful for them. We have the best parents, just like we have the best students. There's a reason why our students are so awesome. It's because of their parents. We thank you for being kind and respectful. And we thank you for recognizing the hard work and money that we put into your students. That's the reason why you pay the fees, is so that we can have these great educators here working with your students and these great programs and the extra curriculum and materials that we order specifically for your student. In some cases, we only have 1 student using that specific set of materials. So as a community, I want to avoid chismes and myths and focus on realities and focus on growing and getting a great education. So I'm going to address a few myths that I've heard this school year, just so that we're very, very clear. Clarity is great sometimes, and it helps us all be more respectful and kind. And so the first myth that I've heard is the student support fee of $1,200 a year is too much. All right, let's break this down. It's actually $133 a month. The real cost to support a student with a plan is around $3,500 a year. For some students, that's more. That's $388 a month. So we're not charging you what it cost us as a school to put these extra systems in place for your child. We're charging you a fraction of what it cost us. We're subsidizing the rest. Our student support program runs annually at $200,000 in the negative because we don't collect all of the money that we really need for these services for your child. So that is a myth. That money is only a fraction of what it cost us. Now, we do understand that sometimes families have economic hardships. They have things that they go through. Maybe they lose a job. Maybe the business goes down. We had a lot of issues in the pandemic where we were able to support a lot of families. We work with families. We support them. We're there for them. There's a process for applying for financial aid if a family needs financial aid. And there's a board committee that focuses on financial aid and distributes financial aid to families in need each year. But our school is the most expensive school in Guayaquil for a reason, because we provide the best services in the community for an individualized education. And the money that you pay for your student support fee does not pay for the services that we actually provide. It pays for a fraction of it. The second myth that I've heard is, this is a good one too. Kids with a gifted plan don't get their money's worth. Why do they have to pay a $1,200 fee? They don't get their money's worth. Well, in reality, they get more than their money's worth, because many of our elementary students that are on gifted plans are in middle school curriculum, materials, and classes, but they don't pay a middle school tuition. Many of our middle schoolers that are on gifted plans are in high school classes, but they do not pay a high school tuition. In addition to that, they also generate the plan with the goals. They generate specific classes that we offer just for our gifted group of students that we put on the schedule and that we provide for them. And so they actually get more than their money's worth. Ultimately, families with kids on gifted plan, they may save tens of thousands of dollars, because those students also often skip a year of school, get extra credits, or get credits in university for the AP credit exams that they're able to pass. So your gifted kids are getting their money's worth. And then the last rumor or falsehood or myth, whatever you want to call it, I won't say lie, that's a strong word, but the last one that I've heard is parents don't have to pay fees if they don't feel like paying them or if they don't agree with them. This is, of course, is a myth, and this is actually circulated on one of the parent WhatsApp groups, that not a school-sponsored one, but there's a mother's group out there where this is circulated, where there are parents that have put on there, I'm not paying this fee and you shouldn't pay it either. That's fine. You don't have to pay the fee, just like you don't have to pay your mensuales, your monthly tuition payments. But what happens if you don't pay those fees is that you cannot be continually enrolled at Inter-American Academy. At the end of each year, if a family owes money, then they need to settle their debts with the school. They need to pay that money because we've paid a lot of money to educate your kids. We're a nonprofit school. We're not here to make money. We're only here for your kids. That's our number one purpose. So if you don't pay your fees, then you won't be able to enroll for the next school year. That would be really sad, because our students here, they're really happy. They're really thriving. They're growing. But if you as a parent feel like this is not the right place for your child, and you feel like you don't want to be a part of the student support program or the extra support that your student might need, you have to make the decision that's best for your family. But at Inter-American Academy, we have a very strong philosophy here. We will help every student with exactly what they need at exactly the right time, and we will make sure that money's not an issue that stops us from supporting your student, because that's why you're sending your kids here, because you trust us and you know that we're going to do what's best for your kids and help them succeed and grow. This is our mission. This is what we're about every day, and we love your kids and we have a great time with them. And the majority of our parents, they pay their fees and they're really appreciative of the services we provide for them. It's just a handful of parents right now that are maybe having trouble with this, and hopefully this Sharkast will help them better understand that we're doing what's best for their kids, and they can do what's best for their kids too. And also remember, kindness and respect. We work really hard for your kids, and we just, all we want is for your kids to be happy. That for us is the reward. And we want you to acknowledge that. We want you to acknowledge that they're happy and growing and thriving. So we've listened to you. All the parents that have come and talked to me, I feel for you. I know that it's hard. I know financially things can be difficult. We've listened to your feedback. One of the things that we're not going to do anymore starting this next year is we're not going to invoice parents with a $1,200 student support fee. We're going to invoice you per the month. That way, if you leave the student support program, let's say a lot of our students come here not speaking a lot of English, and they're in the program for a year or a year and a half, and then they're able to get to a certain level in their English proficiency. to where they have access to the curriculum in our regular classes and in our homeroom classes. And they exit the program. They don't have a plan anymore. They don't have a need for a plan. So you'll only pay for when your kid has a need and when they're in the program. You won't pay for additional months if they exit in the middle of the year. In addition to that, I did get feedback from some parents that I should go to the board and talk to them about this $1,200 a year fee to try to see if we could get that taken off. And of course, as I mentioned in the slide before, we really are spending, $3,500 a student per year, not $1,200 per student. And so the board looked at it very carefully and they said, hey, we're in the negative $200,000, and in balancing the budget, we can't continue to do that. And so we even talked about possibly increasing that fee so that it actually covers the cost. The good news is the board decided no, we won't increase it. We'll keep it at the $1,200, but that's the annual fee, and it will be only charged per month, $133 a month. In addition to that, the board is looking for ways to keep our incredible student support program, world-renowned program, going, and to get it out of the red so that we're not $200,000 in the hole each year. So we will gladly receive any donations that you might have or sponsorships. If you have some companies or some grants that you're aware of that would allow us to continue to keep our great student support program going, that would be awesome. Just so you know, the U.S. State Department gives us a grant each year of about $50,000 that goes towards this program. So we're subsidizing part of that $200,000 with that amount of money, which brings us down to $150,000. And then we'll continue to look for other sources of funding to make sure that we can give the best services to your students at the lowest cost possible. So Susan, you mentioned earlier that our program is one of the best in the world. And with your experience and connections all over the world to schools, what would you say is different about IAA in relation to other schools that you know of around the world that are top schools, really?
Well, I think one of the things at IAA that makes a difference is, first of all, the personnel you have here. IAA has invested a lot of time and money and training into having a top team. Currently, we have about 13 members on our team. Another point that I think differentiates IAA is the consistency of the program. The program is very well established, and you have very well established protocols. When Dr. Simmons set up the program here, she used protocols and processes that had been implemented in the United States. So she brought that knowledge and know-how with her, and she set up a very structured program. We followed the processes, the procedures, and looking at all the students first, in screening those students, then setting up individualized learning programs for those students. So it's very well established. Protocols are in place. The school has created an environment based on this program in which all of our students are made to feel welcome and they know their needs are being met. They run down those stairs and run into their ELL classes. They're happy, they're learning. Many of them are able to test out quickly out of the English as second language program, and so they leave that program. Other students, the support that we provide, for instance, in learning differences, may go over a number of years, so there's constant follow-up on those students. And the other point that I really like is the fact that IAA likes to involve parents. So parents are involved in the decisions. All of the student learning plan information is shared with those parents. And so we're working really as a well-structured team. And I think that IAA has become well-known in the region for the support they do provide. As Dawn has mentioned, I've visited many schools through Mexico, Central America, South America, the Far East, Asia. And one thing that I do note is here The program is so well structured that no matter who comes and goes, IAA will always have a very strong student support team.
Well, congratulations. I know that my own family benefits from your department, Susan. I have 2 kids with learning plans, and I know that we always enjoy going to the learning plan meetings with your team, and we can just see very clearly the achievement level of our students, the goals, and how the goals are being met, and there's clear evidence and data. And so we really appreciate that. Our kids have really benefited. So thank you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate being here.
Great.
Go Sharks!
Do, do, do,